All right, everyone. Steve Metrics here, No Debate Sports. Waiting on my guy, DJ TRIGGS. I'm sure he'll be here to join us shortly. But we got a lot of things for you here today. Big news of the day: Travis Kelce goes down in practice. So he hyperextends his knee, and he's more than likely out for Thursday. So that's something that they definitely want to monitor. They definitely want to make sure he's good to go throughout the season, but I do not expect him to play Thursday. So between him playing Thursday and the issues they're having with Chandler Jones, definitely Kansas City is going to be going into this game with some ability to definitely be upset. So when it comes to Travis Kelce, and especially Travis Kelce owners, you definitely have to be sure that you went into your draft with some backup plan for him, whether it is Noah Gray, whether it is possibly Jerick McKinnon running his routes on the route tree, or do you want to double down on size at possibly a different position? Because if Kelce goes down, then Mahomes clearly is going to have to develop the receivers. And maybe you go for the size of Justin Watson. So that's definitely the mindset that is absolutely going to have to occur in every league where they have their waivers going through before Thursday night football. So that's a big thing that you got to look at. And we're going to be breaking down more of the fantasy players that you should be targeting for your waivers. I know I'm definitely going to be targeting multiple players based off of the fact that I don't know if I'm completely sold on how that New York Giants receiving core is going to work. And I also have some susceptibility with Chase Claypool. So I used him as a insurance plan for DJ Moore. And when your backup is already hurt and possibly has some conflict issues with other people on the staff, it can get a little tight. But with that, just in the nick of time, we got your boy, DJ TRIGGS. And here he is.
Oh man,
Boom.
life finds a way. I tell you.
Oh, it does. It does. And I mean, between definitely our hiccups with technical difficulties in the early days and me last week being up in the North Woods connecting via Wi-Fi, it happens. Like it just absolutely happens. So yeah, glad we got you here. We're ready to go. Yeah, let's do this.
Sweet. Look at that background.
Exactly.
That background's dope.
Oh yeah. That background is dope. We got some spreadsheet cells. We're all about spreadsheets here at No Debate Sports and keeping it techie, keeping it trippy. And yeah, tomorrow our updated fantasy depth tracker is going to drop. So yeah, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of more updates, and definitely some things going on today in Kansas City. I tell you that.
Oh man, you're telling me people are getting injured and we're hiding it and trying to make leeway out of situations that don't make any sense anymore. I don't really know what's going on in Kansas City, but now who is he going to throw to?
I've well, I did this last season where I had this backup insurance policy should anything happen to Travis Kelce, because I did start to see his play decline. And then when we got to the fantasy playoffs and the end of the actual NFL regular season, he completely fell off. So anyone who has Travis Kelce, you need to understand that there are signs of his elite stellar play coming to an end, or at least decreasing somewhat. So that happened last season. I tried going with Noah Gray, and I also tried going with Justin Watson last year because they both kind of had that size. They kind of resembled that bigger target for Mahomes. But they're not quite Travis Kelce, no matter what. So it changes up a little bit. It's a little difficult.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Travis Kelce is probably going to be a Hall of Famer. So you can't really just add in a random dude whenever you want. It doesn't really work out that way.
Exactly. Yeah, it's pretty rough, but yeah, I would absolutely target Noah Gray because I can tell you if I saw this stuff happening last season in the final 6 games, so did everyone who's part of Kansas City Chiefs management. And they've been putting these pieces in place with Noah Gray over the last few seasons to make sure that he is ready to go should anything happen to Travis Kelce. And I expect him to be playing a huge part in this offense. There's been games last season where both Travis Kelce and Noah Gray have scored in the same game. So they're ready for it. They're ready to do this. I think if that's the case too, then I think Justin Watson takes more of a step forward because he's going to bring more size to that lineup. So if they're less focused on the attention drawn to Travis Kelce and trying to open up downfield with speed, now I think you try to scale back. You have less speed options, but you go in heavy with more size. So that's the way I see this offense starting to evolve.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, with the way they're set up, I mean, they don't really have a great running back. They don't really have a great receiver. Like Kelce was kind of, I mean, hopefully he's only out for one game, but he's kind of their whole shindig.
Exactly. He is definitely the major part of the offense. He had the most bona fide number value of any player we rated last season. And the only player I think close to him was actually Devontae Adams. So, and then it was Justin Jefferson a little bit below that. But it was pretty much the two biggest targets in the NFL were just clearly elite. So it's going to be a little different without Travis Kelce, but it's why I just couldn't really muster up the value of picking Travis Kelce at like 4 or 5 because we did see his play decrease at the end of last season. If he would have just been like invincible like he was 2 years ago, then I can absolutely justify it. And for us, even last season in our draft, had I not been able to acquire Joe Mixon at the back end of round 1, I would have gone in on Travis Kelce round 1 last season. So it is what it is, but I think it shows that the times change. I mean, between Travis Kelce and between Cooper Kupp, I just don't think those guys truly are first round value. And even Cooper Kupp with his hamstring issue going on, to me, that kind of looks like it's more of like a round 3. I mean, his bona fide number value, you could have even justified him in round 5. Like it's pretty serious how much of a decrease has gone on in that Rams offense. So definitely the guys that are up there in age, it is showing, and no knock against them. It just is what it is.
Yeah, I completely agree. That one's a pretty simple one. I mean, it's hit or miss. Whoever you pick is going to be, could be a good guy, could not be. Hopefully he only misses 1 week. So that's, yeah. Sky Moore.
Yeah.
This makes me laugh.
I know. James is always there for a crafty comment when you need it most. So there we go, James. Well, welcome to the show. So speaking of a bounce back, how about that American basketball team? How about those guys?
Oh man, I don't know how I feel about those guys, to be honest.
I mean, they're playing against the Paisans.
The only one.
Oh.
I mean, yeah, they beat the Italians.
The Paisans.
Yes. I don't know if I can say that, but 100 to 63. I don't know. That one, it kind of just bugged me a little bit. Italy was basically the perfect draw for the U.S. To play defense against.
Yeah.
3 of their 5 games have been within 7 points. They already lost a game. They have no players over 6'10". Only 3 of their players score double digits, and one of them is at 18, and the rest are at like 10. and the U.S. has 5 guys over 10 points. So
Okay.
it was
Do they at least
basically set up for them to win.
Did the Italians at least have Dante DiVincenzo? He sounds like he'd be part of the squad.
They did.
Nope.
Nope.
Oh, well, that's why. That's why they lost by 40.
From what I know, I don't think there were any NBA players. I could be wrong,
No.
but I'm pretty sure they didn't have any.
That's
but
a bummer.
The only positive out of this whole situation is Lithuania lost to Serbia.
Okay.
So we don't have to play
does
them
that
ever.
Gotcha. Oh, okay. Okay. So is this still part of like group play and then it's the knockout stage, or like how does this all work?
No, that was the quarterfinals. The U.S. is now in the semifinals.
So how did they advance yet lose to Lithuania? That doesn't make sense.
So that was the second round of group play. So in that group, it started with 4 teams. Then the top 2 teams went to another group with another group's top 2 teams, and then the top 2 teams out of that go to the quarterfinals.
Oh, that's wild. That's a crazy format.
Yeah. Which now it's getting to the nitty-gritty, and they're running into 2 teams that I actually thought they would have a little bit of trouble with. With Latvia, they have Davis Bertans, which is a super 3-point shooter. I think he plays for Dallas now.
Okay.
He was with the Wizards, signed a big deal.
Sure.
And then Germany, they have Dennis Schroeder and the Wagner boys. So
yeah, that's a good squad.
I don't know about that one.
Yeah. Yeah, like Dennis Schroeder definitely wants to fight back from losing that first game. He's a feisty guy. He can play really well. So you got that in the Wagner brothers for sure. That's definitely a legit team.
Yeah, I don't want to see either one of those teams. So that kind of scares me a little bit.
Yeah, for sure. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. So okay, so when is that next game then?
That's a good question. I did not check that. I kind of just I watched the game and I was like, meh. And then I heard, they're playing either Latvia or Germany, and I was like, I'm kind of over the USA team.
Right.
Can I say that? I don't know if I can say that.
Yeah, I mean, especially saying what you did yesterday, where basically this is not the true first team that's playing in the Olympics. It's a real shame. You really want to see the Americans put their best foot forward and win both the World Cup and the Olympics, as they should, and take care of business, and don't be like a Clemson who couldn't take care of Duke, a basketball school, yesterday. That was football. They played football yesterday. So yeah, you got to put your best foot forward. So
yeah, I don't even have any words for them.
Exactly. So yeah, we don't really have much words to say about the remainder of the USA basketball team, but going back to football, kind of looking at champions and kind of looking at who we like. Are there some teams that you're starting to like? Possibly divisional winners, possible Super Bowl picks. You got any ideas on these guys?
Oh, I have a whole list. I'm ready to go for this one.
There we go. Yeah, let's do this.
So I have my 7 teams on both sides, and I have Super Bowl winners. So I'll go through the AFC because it's a lot less surprising than the NFC.
Okay.
But it could work out. I'm not really sure. You know what? I'm gonna make a banner of it just so everyone can follow along.
I love me a really good banner and a really good graphic. It's always a winner. Always a winner.
I wish I could have made a better graph, but the powers that be did not let me.
That's okay.
Let's see.
That's okay.
So let's go. Let's throw up an AFC brand. Boom.
Okay.
All right.
Get some AFC action. There it is.
So who do you have?
That's not the Colonel. That's the American.
That's hilarious. Who do you have out of the AFC North?
Out of the AFC North, I definitively have this team, as well as them pulling the upset this weekend. I am going with the Pittsburgh Kenny Pickett and George Pickens. Pickett to Pickens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, the 3Ps. Absolutely Pittsburgh. And there's a reason why Berto and Los Pollos Hermanos picked them as the number one overall defense in our league. That took a lot of guts and a lot of gusto. And I'm right there with Berto. Let's take Pittsburgh. Yes, sir.
So I am going with Baltimore.
Okay.
I think with the way it worked last year, Baltimore had a pretty solid record, and that was without Lamar Jackson. I mean, they were the 6th seed. They were 10-7, and the fact that Lamar Jackson didn't play a good handful of games and they're still 10-7 tells me they can be even better. They'll have all the running backs back, plus Odell Beckham, Zay Flowers. Like, they have legitimate offensive weapons besides Mark Andrews. So I'm going Baltimore on that one.
Yeah, plus J.K. Dobbins, he's going to run angry this year. He is a very angry runner. I think Kyle Brandt can just give him the scepter for all 18 weeks of the season. He's going to be a very, very angry runner out there. So I like that pick. Plus, I like it to the point that a little preview of kind of like the rest of our picks without spoiling too much. I do see at least one of these juggernauts who was at the top of the AFC last season, whether it's Buffalo, Cincinnati, or Kansas City. I see one of those three completely falling off the rock and not being in the postseason at all. I'm not 100% confident which one of those three, but if I had to go with one of those three, I would probably go with Cincinnati. That's the one I'm leaning towards.
You're leading into my picks here. You're leading in. Who do you got for the AFC West?
From the AFC West at this point, I'm going to still stick with Kansas City. I just think the mind trust of that franchise, it's not like this just happened yesterday. It's not like they didn't know that Travis Kelce has been getting up there in years. It's not like they didn't see the end of the regular season with Kelce. And it's not like they knew that they were going to come to a pass with Chandler Jones. Or no, not Chandler Jones. I'm blanking on the guy's name. But the edge rusher that they are in negotiations with, he is just awesome. Like, he is one of the best edge rushers in the entire NFL. But it's not like it just happened yesterday. They knew this was going on. They knew they would have to fortify that defense and still have a game plan without him. And I think they are going to go ahead and do that. So to me, that's the I still think they know what they're doing. It's just too good of a franchise. They know how to do things. They have everything in place. They've had really no changes on the coaching staff. So I'm going to stick with KC.
Oh, I'm with you there. Kansas City, basically, I don't believe in the Raiders. Sorry, Metrics.
Oh, I do. I'll tell you that. I flat out, we will be the second team coming out of this division in the playoffs. So yeah, you can put that on the board right now.
Oh, okay. I will put that up there.
Tyree Wilson is going to terrify people.
Well, okay. I don't really believe in the Denver Broncos and the LA Chargers. I want to say San Diego so bad. The LA Chargers,
you do.
They kind of got in there by sneaking in.
I'm going to call them the Carson City Chargers because they played in a soccer stadium before they came to terms and had to relocate to, was it El Segundo or wherever they put SoFi Stadium? man, I heard that place is just like really hot and humid and yeah, kind of gross. So I think they should still be playing in the soccer stadium in Carson City.
Yeah, but I don't really believe much in any of those teams. So
Okay.
I'm just going Kansas City.
I'm going to go Raiders and the backup Raiders in the Denver Broncos, because let's be honest, Jared Stidham's going to be the starting quarterback. They're going to relegate Russell Wilson to one of the remaining teams in the Pac-12 conference that hasn't relocated to a new conference, and it's going to be Jared Stidham. And I don't know who drafted him in my league, or in our league, but I definitely thought about it back when I took Jalen Hyatt. I think Menzel Mims is going to be an awesome receiver. I think he's got kind of that DJ Moore kind of characteristics about him. So I feel like there's going to be life in that offense, and the defense is good. So if any team in that division has turmoil, it's the Chargers. The Chargers absolutely don't know what they're doing. They have a bad head coach, and now they brought in Kellen Moore to mix up that offense yet again. And to be honest, that was probably one of the teams that should have hired Sean Payton. I think either the Buffalo Bills or the Carson City Chargers should have hired Sean Payton.
Wow.
Yep.
I think the Chargers probably would have been a good idea too.
Yeah, because they keep doing this changing of the guard, and it just makes the progression of Justin Herbert that much harder. And it's going to come to a point where eventually he's going to become Tyrod Taylor instead of really becoming like a like a Peyton Manning, like he should. He should have the same coaching staff, the same coordinator, the same scheme. You do that, you're really going to help out your quarterback. So keep changing the language, and at some point, it's just not going to work.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. So let's move on to the AFC East. Who do you got there?
Okay. AFC East, I am going to go with the Miami Dolphins. And whether it's Tua Tagovailoa or, to be honest, I mean, yeah, everyone likes Mike F. White. But I think if Skylar Thompson is the one running in that offense, and to be honest, I think Skylar Thompson outplayed Mike White in the preseason from the games I watched, I think that offense is going to move. And they're going to figure out who's playing running back. So they got that. Apparently, you got a lot of gusto to move on from Mike Gesicki. So you definitely have to have confidence at the tight end position. And your receiving core is fantastic. So that's not really a concern. And then just the fact that you have, what's his name, the new defensive coordinator, blanking on the name. But you bring that defensive coordinator who's been in San Francisco, Denver, Chicago. He always has one of the best defenses immediately in the NFL when he's on a new team. So he's always ranked as a top 5 defense, whether it's been any of those teams. And in addition to that, he also has like the most amount of movement pre-snap. So I really like that ability to really upgrade that defense that they have there in Miami. So I like just the all-around play that Miami has. And even though they lost all 3 games, they still played tight and were leading in multiple of those games they played against Buffalo. So I like Miami.
Okay. Dun dun dun. The New York Jets.
Okay.
They were 7-10 last year with literally no quarterback play. Like zero quarterback play.
Yep.
They're going to be one of the best defenses in the league. And I think Aaron Rodgers can at least give them 3 more wins just off of being Aaron Rodgers alone, plus Dalvin Cook. And you're going to have Garrett Wilson. Allen Lazard's going to be a number 2 receiver, which he's better at. Some of the help from Mecole Hardman and Randall Cobb, plus Tyler Conklin, who I love at tight end. Like,
exactly.
I think they're going to be studly.
Yeah, they have a really nice weapons there. My concern is definitely the offensive line, and even what I saw out of Aaron Rodgers in the limited play that he had in that 3rd preseason game. he can definitely be rattled. You get some pressure to that guy, he is not the same. He is not mobile, and he will easily just throw that ball out of bounds while hitting the ground hard. So I kind of feel like this is a season where a lot of these older guys are just not going to hold up. And considering that level of defense that he has to go through, I think at some point in those slew of the first 7 games, he absolutely will get hurt.
Or he can drop a dime to Garrett Wilson on the end zone back shoulder throw like he did in that preseason game. So
Exactly.
It can go either way. Rodgers doesn't take too many hits.
Exactly. And he definitely can kind of maneuver his way outside the pocket. But even to getting to that point in the red zone where they threw that beautiful pass to Garrett Wilson, it was kind of more of a rhythmic, kind of a meticulous style of just advancing the ball downfield, getting first downs, making good plays, getting to the guy that's open. That's the way that it felt like that offense went. And in a way, that's really going to benefit that defense. So if that is the style that offense operates at, instead of trying to just be this run and gun and weird Zach Wilson stuff like they were last year, being more meticulous and more methodical and being more about possessions, which Aaron Rodgers is notorious about in his entire career, that will benefit them. If they can do that and they can protect him in the pocket with his offensive line, then I think you're spot on.
Yeah, their offense, as long as that offense can work and do better than what they did last year, they're at least a playoff team.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
All right.
They'll be showing up again.
AFC South. Who do you got there?
Yeah, AFC South is T-Law, and I think the one guy I definitely regretted from not drafting in our league from Jacksonville, and even though there is my favorite guy, Zay Jones, I think Tank Bigsby is going to add that other element. That defense to me is still very good, and just upgrading again with Calvin Ridley. I think there's a ton of options there, and again, just like the Jets, my concern is the offensive line. They can run block really well, whether it's ETN or Tank, but they really, really need to figure out that pass protection and maybe even have like Tank in there and maybe do a 2-back formation with ETN. So at least you have Tank to pick up the unblocked rusher. I think that could really benefit. So yeah, I'm absolutely going Jacksonville.
Yeah, I mean, this one's kind of like pretty easy. Everybody else in the South is horrible.
They are.
They are. I mean, I'm not picking Tennessee or the Colts anytime soon. Just to spoiler alert, they are not in the wild card.
Exactly, and Houston's a really nice up and coming team, but I think they need this season to develop. Similar to Denver and Sean Payton, they really need a year to kind of like get the tires some tread, or at least take some of the tread off of the tires. So I think Denver and Houston have this upward trajectory in the right direction, but I think Indianapolis is going to flatline for as long as they got this Jonathan Taylor hanging over them. And then I'm with you, like Tennessee is absolutely going to keep going backwards. And I think ever since we saw Mike Vrabel in that playoff game against Cincinnati really show how lackluster of a coach he is in the crunch time in the playoffs, and not going with the hot hand and Deontay Foreman, I think that really shows who they are. I think they're truly a regular season team. Plus, the year before that, they were the number 1 seed, and then they get trounced by Baltimore in the playoffs. So I like Vrabel. He's got great character, great passion, tons of drive. It's awesome seeing a former player become a head coach. But when it comes to the tactical part of things, especially in the playoffs where it's just the hardest, I mean, you're just sharpening iron against iron. That's where he comes flat. So I don't know, like if they keep going backwards this year and next year, I think after next season, he's probably done. So we'll see.
That makes sense. I definitely agree. Cause I mean, you have all that talent, and then all you needed was a quarterback, and you guys have missed on your quarterback spot the last couple drafts. Yeah. What was it? Malik Willis and
Levis.
Who's your boy down there? Levitz. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, what can you do? I mean, Ryan Tannehill was kind of hit or miss. They kind of wasted Derrick Henry, to be honest.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, and that goes back to that playoff game. Like, from playing him so hard instead of realizing that, like, you probably could have waited on him. I mean, you could have probably gone through that game with both Deontay Foreman and Dontrell Hilliard, and you'd be fine. But instead, they felt like they had to go all out. And by them making another, well, not another, but a poor decision on Derrick Henry's availability, it just allowed Cincinnati to kind of advance yet again in another game that, to me, that postseason, I think they were kind of given some of those games to go on to that Super Bowl run, and then heartbreakingly taken away from in the Super Bowl against the Rams. So I feel like the Titans are just doing things kind of backwards, and I feel like that's a team too that over the last few seasons has had opportunity to get Tom Brady, to get possibly Aaron Rodgers. I feel like they've could have landed one of those two elite quarterbacks, and then they're like, nope, we're sticking with Ryan Tannehill. And there's always been that report of a mystery team out there that Tom Brady spoke with ownership and said, you're going to be keeping that expletive quarterback instead of going with me. And I feel that quarterback absolutely is Ryan Tannehill. I think that is absolutely a team that Tom Brady wanted to go to, especially being tight with Mike Vrabel as well.
Yeah, that could be. I'm not completely sure, but yeah, I always thought it was Jimmy Garoppolo in San Francisco because Tom Brady wanted to go to California, but hey, it could be Tennessee too.
Yeah, I just think Ryan Tannehill has shown over multiple previous seasons that he is clearly the worst veteran quarterback in the NFL. And maybe now it's Matt Stafford, but Matt Stafford and Tannehill, like, their better days are behind them. It's over. It is what it is. And the newer, younger generation is going to start making its way into the league.
Yeah, that makes sense. So do you have a list of wild card teams?
Off the top of my head, yes, that I absolutely do have. So,
okay,
I
hit
am
it with your AFC.
Hey, here we go. Got to go to my division, the AFC West. It will be us and the Las Vegas Raiders coming out of that division. I do have some concerns on health between Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs. I hope they both hold up. More so of a concern with Adams than Jacobs. Adams has already been banged up this preseason. However, if Jacobs were to go down, Zamir White's ready to go. And shoot, we even got like Amir Abdullah. We got guys that like we're ready to kind of plug and play with, and we've been able to do that in games that we've missed Jacobs. So taking that, adding Tyree Wilson, the secondary is getting better. You improve the pass rush, that helps the secondary. So I'm taking Vegas. They are definitely my first wild card team out of the West. The second wild card team I'm going to go with is going to be in the AFC North, and I am going with the Cleveland Browns. My concern there is quarterback. Week 3 of the preseason, we finally started to see the rust fall off of Deshaun Watson. But hey, if it's an injury or if he just gets the yips, if they got to pull that string and go to Dorian Thompson-Robinson, they're ready to go. I love Amari Cooper. Donovan Peoples-Jones has just been there forever, and he's been incredibly solid. And now you have this interesting wild card position out of Elijah Moore and being that weapon. I like that. Plus, you got Nick Chubb, you got Jerome Ford, and now you have the defense really stepping up as well. So I love just kind of the overall scheme of things. Plus, they run that 12 personnel with Njoku and now Jordan Akins from the Texans. So I love the whole complete setup of that team. And then taking that mentality and what you laid out with the Jets, I'll definitely take the Jets from the East. So, I mean, it's tough. Like they have a real tough schedule, but I think they can do it. And if the Jets have a tough schedule, so do the other teams out there. So does Buffalo. So does Miami. If we truly believe 2 teams are going to come out of that division, then one of those 3 is going to get decimated by that schedule. I think the team to get decimated by it will be Buffalo. I think that team takes a step back. They still have questions on offense, offensive line, and letting Tremaine Edmonds go to the Chicago Bears. You're letting go of your best defensive player. So I think this is definitely actually, you know what? That's 2 out of the 3 teams we brought up earlier. I think Buffalo and Cincinnati absolutely missed the playoffs.
Wow. Okay. So fun fact here. In the AFC last season, 3 of the 7 teams were in the playoffs from the previous season. So there were 4 new teams in the AFC last year.
Okay.
I am actually going with 5 this year. So
Oh, wow.
I'm picking, let's see here. Boop. I have Pittsburgh, Miami, and Cincinnati as my wild cards.
Sure.
Pittsburgh, I think the AFC North is going to put 3 teams in there just because
it's possible.
The South is not good enough. And
yeah,
I just don't think anyone in the West is that good. But you like the Raiders. I know that. But I just don't think there's enough firepower to step up to the plate in any of those teams. But Pittsburgh, I think for sure is going to step up.
Yes.
Cincinnati, just by default, I think their offense is so good that they can make up some spots as long as Joe Burrow's out there. And then Miami, I think, takes part of the South in
a way they do.
The East.
I mean, they're winning against the South as well, if that's the case.
Because I think Buffalo takes a step back. They missed out on Dalvin Cook.
Yep.
They have the other brother, as we'll label him. Stephon Diggs is having a lot of heat over there right now, a lot of problems. And they didn't really add anything. So they're kind of just going in with the same exact team.
Yes.
And everyone else around them, Miami, going to get, Devon A-Chain, the New York Jets getting, obviously, Aaron Rodgers. Like, they have teams around them getting better, and they're not.
Yeah, and you can't let a guy like Tremaine Edmonds, who was a top 10 pick in the draft that he came out of, and his brother plays in Pittsburgh last time I checked. But, you can't have that brother just, bless you, you can't have him go and just completely leave your team. Yeah, exactly. You can't have him just completely leave your team. To me, Tremaine Edmonds has that Ray Lewis kind of scarability where it's like, man, you got to keep an eye on where this guy is on the field. I mean, he is a linebacker just like Ray Lewis was, and you're terrified of where this guy is on the field. So, I think losing Tremaine Edmonds is absolutely going to show in that defense. I think teams are definitely going to be able to run the ball up on Buffalo. And if you're running the football and you're playing good defense, well, Josh Allen won't be on the field then. So that's how you're going to beat the Bills this season.
That makes sense.
Yep.
All right. So give me those. I'm making a list for us right now just so that we can keep them up to date. So you had Jacksonville and Kansas City, and who did you have in the North?
North, I had Pittsburgh. East, I had Miami.
Perfect.
Mm-hmm.
I did have those. Just making sure that we can hold ourselves accountable here.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think our only differences on teams making the tournament are me with Vegas and Cleveland. And then I think it's you with Cincinnati and Baltimore. Sound about right?
Yep. Let me type in Baltimore, boom, Kansas City, boom, and the Jets. So, yes, our division winners, we both have Kansas City and Jacksonville. Boom, typing. Both of us have the Jets in. Both of us have Miami in. Yep, you are correct. You are correct.
Nice.
Yeah.
Deal.
Let's build out our NFC Let's go with the NFC West because I feel like
Okay.
we're both going to have the same team.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, so I know a lot of people like to get real excited and talk about the Seattle Seahawks, but this is still the same Seattle Seahawks, and I still am not going to put faith in Geno Smith. I know he did some good stuff, and apparently he can, according to Mark Sanchez, if he cleans up first and second down, he'll be the greatest passer out there since Aaron Rodgers. I don't see that happening. They're still going to run the football like they do. The offensive line has gotten better. I give them that. But I don't see Jackson Smith and Jigba when he comes back really having that true breakout role. It's still going to be Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. And I'm still not excited of DK Metcalf since he's come into the league. I just don't think he's really doing that well. And then the defense will be good. It'll be fine. But like at some point too, like teams will figure out how to work their way through the cracks. And I think San Francisco's loaded. Even without Nick Bosa, or actually Joey Bosa. Wait, am I mixing up my brothers? Yeah, Nick Bosa is the one in San Francisco. Bosa. Yeah, even without Nick Bosa, that defense is still absolutely terrifying. And for the fact that like last season, even in the small amount of games that we saw some of those quarterbacks play, I felt like last season Trey Lance was the best quarterback. But like Brock Purdy's there. They have way more confidence in him. He's coming off of like that Tommy John kind of injury. And I just see that flat out they have a ton of confidence in him. That connection with George Kittle is pretty solid. Brandon Ayuk is a great receiver. Deebo Samuel seems to be healthy. I just think there's so many ways that offense can operate. They even have Kyle Juszczyk up there. There's so many ways that offense can attack you that you're not ready for. It is going to be one of the most exotic offenses in the NFL. And just knowing how good that defense is, no matter who's out there, is good. Fun fact, coming back to the AFC, guy who used to play for the 49ers, a younger guy, sort of, Solomon Thomas, he played with San Francisco. He jumped to my Raiders, and now he's actually out there with the Jets and Robert Saleh. So that San Francisco connection is working its way to the AFC as well with the Jets. So, yeah, I'm absolutely going with San Francisco.
All right. I figured that's what you were trying to say there was you were going to San Francisco.
Yeah.
I was down. Yeah, I mean, it's basically San Francisco's division until it's not. They're one of the best teams in football for a reason. We don't really have too much faith in the Rams, especially from what we hear that Cooper Kupp is not I was like, who popped that one?
Yeah, I brought up Brett. I'm like, hey, we got fan picks in here. I know James wants to poo-poo my Raiders, but yeah, we'll put up Brett's take and we won't put up James's. So is what it is.
It kind of caught me off guard. I'm like, wait a minute, Brett.
I know.
Get off of our screen.
Yeah, get off our lawn.
But I mean,
good stuff.
He's kind of with me though, so that's all right. I'm okay with that. But yeah, like until we know what's up with Cooper Kupp, until Matthew Stafford is like not old and decrepit, the Rams are kind of out of it. We won't even mention the other team in the division because they don't even know if their quarterback's ever actually going to play on the big contract that he has. So San Francisco is basically the default pick because they're good.
Yeah, like, and that's the thing too, is like, I wonder is like, are we going to see kind of the like basically Arizona just kind of tank the season and just make it obvious that flat out they want Caleb Williams. That's kind of what I think we're going to see. But the problem of that is I do think they have a good offensive line. So in a way, this kind of works to their advantage of bringing in a new quarterback, no matter who it is. You should have good pass protection, which makes sense because they traded up with Detroit to select an offensive lineman. I want to say it was Peter Skorinsky from Northwestern. they definitely spent their first pick on an offensive lineman. So that is going to be strong. It's going to be good. They'll have James Conner. They probably add a younger running back to that roster as well. So if you have that younger back that's, I don't know, let's just put it out there. Let's say there's some other Jahmyr Gibbs-ish kind of weapon out there. You could have both of them. You could have that guy and James Conner doing special pass protection for the unchecked rusher, and then still have the ability that James Conner brings to that team. And you'll have some receiving core there with Rondale Moore, Greg Dortch, and Hollywood Brown. I mean, those guys are fine. Like they have an okay receiving core. Even Zach Ertz is there. I don't know if he would stick around. But really what they need is they need quarterback, and they need to figure out that defense. They do those things, they'll be trending in the right direction. But like, there's just no way they can get uphill and get past Seattle and San Francisco. That's just not happening.
I mean, San Francisco is so loaded on the offensive side. I mean, we'll talk about Christian McCaffrey later, I'm sure. But like, the dude is literally just ripping people apart, and then they got him kind of for free. So it was like Carolina's like,
Exactly.
Oh, here you go. We don't really care about this guy who's basically just ripping up fantasy football. Whatever.
Exactly.
How do you feel about the NFC East? What do you got there?
Yeah, NFC East absolutely has to be Philadelphia. It is going to be a monster of a defense. I mean, I'll put this out here right now. The two best defenses in the NFL both reside in the state of Pennsylvania. You have Pittsburgh in the AFC, and you're going to have Philadelphia in the NFC. I think they're both going to be terrifying defenses to play against. And the reports about like Jalen Carter on defense are just terrifying. And now we're going to also see that offense evolve. It's not going to be Jalen Hurts and Nick Sirianni like airing it out, and then you get the Sirianni sneak on 4th and shorts or goal line situations, and Jalen Hurts sacrifices his body for the team. I don't think we have as much of that this season as we had last season. So I think we see a healthy amount of Kenneth Gainwell. I think DeAndre Swift steps in and does really well himself. And then you still have that packing of a punch, that kind of Darren Sproles-like player out of Boston Scott. And you get back a healthy Dallas Goedert this season. So I just like the all-around spread they have there. And then maybe you get more of a true slot receiver in Olamide Zaccheaus coming from the Atlanta Falcons. So I do like the way they're set up in Philadelphia. I just don't have to be there's really no question marks with that team. Whereas you look at the other teams that are kind of hot on their tail, they have question marks.
Huh. That's pretty.
That's no debate.
Pretty self-explanatory. The Philadelphia Eagles are kind of just gonna do their thing. I mean, they've gotten better. They've gotten 2 wide receivers. They've gotten 2 running backs. They've got an MVP candidate quarterback. The defense has gotten better. They basically got a steal in the draft. What else can you say about them, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just continue to be impressed with that team, and they got almost like this Andy Reid coaching tree staff where like you just have amazing coaches on that staff. And already this offseason, we saw 2 of those coaches from that staff get head coaching jobs in the NFL this season between Indianapolis and Arizona. So it's pretty impressive to see what's going on with Philadelphia now.
Absolutely. Let's see. Let's go to the NFC South.
Okay. The NFC South, this is a tough division. Even when it comes to like the betting aspect of the futures, I did my bets for the season. I ended up going with Atlanta, but I even did one with no NFC South whatsoever, just because I think it's going to be so tight between the Falcons and the Saints. And I think that division does come down to the matchup between Atlanta and New Orleans. Whoever comes up on top, whether it's 2-0 for either of those teams. I don't know if it's 1-1. I don't really know which way it goes. But the thing is, when Alvin Kamara comes back, that offense is going to be terrifying. I think that offensive line took a step forward, and I think Chris Olave is going to be more like that Henry Ruggs style player that Derek Carr had back with the Raiders. So I think now you have, like, Chris Olave had a good season last year. I think now he can have a great season because you have a guy who has a humongous arm in Derek Carr. May not always be accurate, but the ability to just launch it on a deep pass downfield, you'll absolutely get that with Derek Carr. So I like that. I like the fact you get back a Michael Thomas. He seems to have a better attitude now that Sean Payton's not there. So I think there's a lot of good things going for the Saints this year. Plus, they got Tyrann Mathieu, so good stuff. But with that said, I'm picking the Falcons.
Well, thanks for just building it up for me because I'm picking the New Orleans Saints. Really feel like when Alvin Kamara comes back, they're going to be really good. They've been good the last couple of years, and they also have not had a quarterback since the end of totally blanking Drew Brees. But Jameson Winston and stuff like that, like your boy Derek Carr is going to go over there and probably light it up. Michael Thomas is on his way back. Chris Olave, like, hey, that's a solid. Juwan Johnson is doing his thing at tight end.
Yes.
I made a video about him. So, like, I think their offense is really going to shoot up.
Yeah. My only concern there is who plays that middle of the field? Like, who's their slot guy? Is that Rashid Shaheed? Or
that's a good question. I mean, we could probably
Yeah, because like now, like obviously Derek Carr has no. Yeah, I'll have to check it. Maybe
quick running.
Bust out our depth tracker on that. But that's the thing is, like, there's no true Hunter Renfrow role down there. But this is a team that can definitely run 12 personnel. I mean, they have Juwan Johnson, they have Jimmy Graham, and even to the list of guys who are going to come back healthy for the Saints. At some point, they're going to get back Taysom Hill. And then Taysom Hill's out there doing Taysom Hill crazy stuff. So I think we really have a shot between, like, all those guys coming back. I think that's just going to keep making that roster better throughout the season.
But wait a minute here. The best name in all of sports right now, Rashid Shaheed. Is your slot receiver, or Traquan Smith, which Traquan Smith was holding it down when Michael Thomas got injured. So, hey, that's a solid 1-2.
Yeah, like they definitely got a solid 1-2 there. And, they got a core receivers that should they lose some people, they got them.
Each other.
Yeah.
I'm checking the Arizona Cardinals schedule to see if they play the Indianapolis Colts, which they do not.
Okay. So here's my case for Atlanta. Atlanta in back-to-back years has gone 7-10. And as lackluster as they were last season, probably more of the development of Desmond Ridder to an extent. They did that with Marcus Mariota, who now clearly cannot play quarterback. Like, Marcus Mariota is pretty much Malik Cunningham. And I want to see Malik Cunningham get on a roster because I think he was the best quarterback on the Patriots this preseason. So that said, it is what it is. But even 2 years ago, the Atlanta Falcons were worse. And I thought they were the worst team in the NFL, and they went 7-10. So kind of taking your mindset of how you view the Jets improving, I see the Falcons making that stride. I don't know the players off the top of my head, but I do know the fact that Atlanta has brought in free agents. They traded for Jeff Okudah, who's a guy that I've really liked since seeing him at Ohio State. I mean, essentially at Ohio State, he was Sauce Gardner at Cincinnati. But he comes into the league very shortly after the draft. He rips his ACL apart And since then, it's just been working his way back, rehabilitating that. So it's been really tough. So it is what it is, but I like bringing in more of those defensive elements. I thought their defense did get better last season. Then you have the triple option between Bijan, Tyler Algier, and Cordero Patterson. I like that. And I like the fact that their receiving core just keeps getting bigger. It's more than Kyle Pitts. It has Drake London. They have Mac Hollins, who played fairly well with us with the Raiders. His Bono value was almost elite level last season. So I like Mac Hollins being there. And then you got shifty Scotty Miller, who they have him listed in the slot, but I think he's more of that go route kind of guy. He's one of those guys who you just let him loose. And obviously Packer fans know Scotty Miller from the game that he had back in the championship game. I think he's kind of that weapon, that X factor for the Falcons. Oh no, I lost Triggs. I feel like I offended him with my Atlanta Falcons.
You didn't lose. You brought up that Packer game.
Oh,
yeah. No, you don't bring up Packer games like that one.
Okay, that's fair.
Kevin King will never, ever live that one down. He let Scotty Miller. The one thing you're supposed to do as a cornerback is not let anyone behind you. And for some strange reason, Scotty Miller was wide open. But okay. Yeah. I digress.
Hey, if it makes you feel better, we did that to the New York Jets like a couple weeks earlier before we had our hearts broken somehow in some game. We probably had like a dozen games where we've had our hearts broken over the last 2 seasons. But we actually did that to the Jets and did the exact same play. I think that was actually back with Henry Ruggs. But we did that against Greg. Was it Greg? Not Schiano, but the Bounty Gate guy. The guy who did Bounty Gate back against Brett Favre back when he was a DC with the Saints. I know he was a DC for the ironically the Williams? DC Commanders. Yes, Greg Williams. Yep. Yeah, we torched Greg Williams' defense on the exact same play.
Yeah.
But not to end a half. We actually did it to win a game when we were trailing. I don't know if it was Zach Wilson or some garbage quarterback for the Jets, but we were up until the final 9 seconds of that game, we were about to lose to the Jets. So it happens. All it takes is one speedy guy to get past the one lone defender who's responsible for covering him, and you score a touchdown. Yeah, we're out of here. We're out of here. It's too much heartbreak.
Who do you got for the NFC North?
Oh, probably well, this makes things. Too. No, this makes things so much better, DJ Triggs, because now it's full circle. Now I'm with you. I am absolutely picking the Green Bay Packers. This is the most complete team in that division. They have a good defense, and that offense is incredibly solid. I made my video way back when hyping up Jordan Love, but it applies to the entire team. There you go. There you go. We'll do the Rocky Balboa top of the Philadelphia Museum steps. That's where we are right now. Shout out to our Philadelphia Eagle fans as well. But that's what it's going to take. It's going to take that solid run game between Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon for Love to feel comfortable to just kind of keep those drives going. Be meticulous with how you go about going downfield. Having the big play ability with Christian Watson and Luke Musgrave. And then you still have that reliability between Samori Toure and Romeo Doubs. And it seems like Doubs to Love is maybe a really spicy connection that could carry a lot of value for fantasy owners out there. So just for the sake of being the most complete team in that division and being able to play various styles of football, I'm absolutely going with the Green Bay Packers. And I think they absolutely get a win this weekend.
Yeah. I mean, the defense is so solid. We get Rashawn Gary back coming in, and he's been on fire all training camp. And then you add Jaden Reed and Musgrave and those boys and crap. Like, I mean, even if Jordan Love plays half or 3/4 as good as Rodgers did, plus you lean on that running game with A.J. Dillon and Aaron Jones, like Minnesota they're going to fall back a little bit, believe it or not, with Dalvin Cook gone. So what can you expect?
Yeah, and Detroit's going to get into games where they're going to be in 30 to 40-point shootouts and lose. And then they're going to have games where Jared Goff just flat out falls flat.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to happen. Their defense really did not improve. So it's very ironic for a team that needed to improve at defense, was in a position to draft Tyree Wilson, clearly made a phenomenal pick at the front of the draft last year with Aiden Hutchinson, and a year after missing on Jeff Okudah. Like, what are you doing, guys? Like, you have to improve that defense. You have good weapons on offense. You are trending in the right direction. You need to fix that defense. They have a great offensive line. So I know a lot of people in the betting world like to bet Detroit, but it's not going to happen. Like, still, like, there is concern about Jared Goff outdoors. I have Jared Goff. He is my quarterback, but even I know as the season progresses, he may not even remain on my team. He's more than likely not going to be my starting quarterback. The only reason why he's starting this week is because my other quarterback, Kenny Pickett, plays the 49ers. I like the upset there, but I still think it's going to be tough. So, like, I am going to have weeks where I need to rely on Jared Goff. And if he's in a climate where he plays a lot less with the weather and just kind of the craziness of that offense that they have, that's where he's going to succeed. But when weather becomes a factor or games get kind of gritty on the defensive side, I think Detroit will fall flat.
Yeah. I mean, they're going to Detroit.
Exactly.
Detroit's going to Detroit is how I put it. That's just how it goes. Let's move on to the wild card. Who do you got in the wild?
All right, so wild card, I'm going to work again. We're shooting from the hip on this one, but I'll go back out west, and I will go with Seattle. I think Seattle is almost a complete team. They have a good offensive line. They tend to always have good running backs. Definitely Kenneth Walker is going to continue to have nagging injuries, so probably they're looking at their guy DJ Dallas and Zach Charbonnet to really kind of run through the offensive line. So they got that. And then they still have solid tight ends. So whether it's Will Dissly or Noah Fant, they got those guys there too. So I like the way that offense is going. I don't know about JSN. That's my only concern there. And then DK Metcalf. So, like, they're going to have pieces working for them, but are they always going to work? I just don't think they have that versatility that San Francisco has. So I'm going to pick Seattle to come out of that division. Then coming back to the South, I will go with New Orleans. I just feel like it's a coin flip pretty much. I like Atlanta just a little bit more. But then that ability that New Orleans has to just get healthier as the season progresses and keep adding dimensions to their offense, I like it. So, yeah, even Kendre Miller, that's another guy who's banged up right now who could possibly add to that offense. So I'm going to go with the New Orleans Saints out of the South. And man, this is weird. Like, this is where I start to feel like the NFC is starting to catch up to the AFC. In all honesty, I still feel out east there's like 2 to 3 teams that are still going to contend for the playoffs. Truly, no one's winning that division outside of Philadelphia. But I still kind of like the Giants. I work my way back to the NFC North with the Bears, but I still think Chicago's still going to have some growing pains, still figuring things out. We'll see what happens with Chicago. But I think Chicago takes a really big stride next year. So I'm going to go back to the East. And out there after the Eagles, I think there are question marks with Dallas. But I'm going to go with the Giants. They still have a good defense, but all the options and weapons they have on offense, I really think they do some good things. I think Darren Waller is going to absolutely tear up the league this year. So I'll take the Giants.
Pretty pretty close there. I thought you were going to pick a couple of those teams, and then you kind of flip-flopped me, and then I was like, oh, wait, he's not picking them. But
Yep.
I'm actually thinking Chicago's going to take that step forward this year. They have so many weapons with Chase Claypool and DJ Moore coming in, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet, and
Tremaine Edmonds.
I really like John Johnson. So like if they can put it all together, I actually think they'll be better than Minnesota and Detroit. And we already picked Green Bay. So then when you said the second best defense in the NFC, Dallas is going to lean hard on that defense. I think they're going to make a lot more safe throws. Brandon Cooks is really going to show out, especially since he doesn't have to get followed by the number one corner anymore. He's going to be the number two receiver. They kind of have a loaded offense. On top of that, with Michael Gallup back there too. And hopefully Dak Prescott doesn't throw as many interceptions, or he throws the same amount of interceptions. What's up?
I like Jake Ferguson replacing Dalton Schultz in that offense as well. I mean, we saw Jake at Wisconsin do pretty well as a tight end, and now that Dalton Schultz isn't there, I think Ferguson will absolutely make some plays.
Oh, but absolutely.
Again, my concern comes back.
It's just one of those things.
Yep. My concern is with Dak and the turnovers. I hope what you say is true, that they tend to lean more on the intermediate game. Like, there are so many plays last season, and I want to say there were a few this preseason as well, where like it's like Dak just gets tunnel vision and he doesn't see the defender that's like really tracking his eyes, and the moment he releases the ball, that defender just comes in and crosses over the field and easily picks him off. Like, that could result in pick sixes and whatnot. So that's my concern, is like, if that happens, if Tony Pollard goes down, if they have fumble issues as well, and that defense has to keep coming back on the field, then they're in a really bad spot. And that defense that we think is absolutely loaded and elite could absolutely fall flat. And going into like this week 1 game against the Giants, like, why is it that like a guy that I have on my bench who should be the 4th receiver on their depth chart, why is Jalen Hyatt getting like a 4-star ranking from Fantasy Pros this week? I don't know. Like, is that something telling me that they think a guy like that can absolutely torch, whether it's Stephon Gilmore or Trayvon Diggs? That's what I'm wondering. Like, do the real football gurus out there think that when it comes to speedy receivers, that Dallas won't be able to keep up with those guys? We know the Giants are going to have speed. We know the Washington football team has speed, whether it's Terry McLaurin, De'Ami Brown, or Jahan Dotson. Those guys got wheels. And then you look at Philadelphia, and like Devontae Smith is crazy fast, and A.J. Brown can put up the wheels, and he's got that Devontae Adams-like body type out there. So they're going up against a lot of speed, and Olamide Zaccheaus is a fast guy. So like everyone in their division has speed when it comes to the receiver position. So I wonder if that kind of neutralizes Diggs and Gilmore. So we'll see. That's my concern. And yes, we are going a little bit long on our picks.
All right. Who do you have in the Super Bowl?
The Super Bowl. So I put down this bet. If it hits, I think I make almost like 3,000, almost $4,000. But just like I posted, and it's similar to last year. Like, you had the team with the number 1 best odds played against the team in the other conference with the number 5 best odds. So the team with the best odds to really make the Super Bowl this year in the NFC is Philadelphia. I'm going with them. Again, no question marks. I love what they got. And then the AFC, I'm going with the team that just keeps taking a step forward, keeps loading up on offense, has a great offensive-minded head coach, a solid defense. I'm going Jacksonville. So I'm taking Philly against Jacksonville.
Who do you got winning?
Boy, I got to think about that because it's ironic. Like in more of the recent years, when it's come to like championship games, I've been kind of good at figuring out who gets there. I've pretty much almost never figured out who actually wins between those few teams. Like I was high on the Boston Celtics against Golden State a few years back, and I thought Boston would clearly dominate them and have a complete team, and then all of a sudden they fell flat. So, like, I keep telling myself it's going to be Philadelphia, but I really wonder if it would be Jacksonville because of the fact that Jacksonville just is going to probably make improvements on defense, and that offense is just going to be stellar. It's always going to have different ways to attack you. So the fact that their offense is going to be more diverse, the defense should be good. I for a while I was telling myself Philadelphia, but I think I'm going to switch and I'm going to go with Jacksonville. That too. I don't know, man. I can get you there, but who crosses the finish line, I'm kind of not so great about.
All right. I have the Hardball Bowl.
Oh
I'm
my.
going San Francisco beating Baltimore.
Wow. Okay.
In the
Shanahan finally
just
gets
because
it
we're
done.
running long, I will I'm gonna spit these out as fast as I humanly possibly can.
Yeah. We got time.
So I have a couple dark horse. I got a couple dark horse MVP candidates that
Sure.
I've been thinking about for quite some time. I don't know. I've been throwing around a couple names, and I finally came down to one. But here's the first couple that came to mind.
Okay.
I'm thinking Christian McCaffrey, which I said I would bring him up later.
Yep.
Hear me out here. This is gonna like blow your mind. So he played 10 games with San Francisco, and he played 6 games with Carolina. He had 1,139 rushing yards, 8 touchdowns, 741 receptions for 5 touchdowns. He had 75% of that in those 10 games with San Francisco. And he had 10 of the 13 touchdowns with San Francisco. So, like, if he even, let's say, doubles that, let's say even gets to like 17 touchdowns and, I don't know, 1,300 yards on the ground, like 800 or 900 on receiving, and San Francisco is the top team in the league, he's got a real shot at an MVP. But that goes back to my my Super Bowl prediction. Lamar Jackson comes back and takes an MVP because he's that explosive. If they get to the Super Bowl, it's obviously going to be on the arm and the legs of Lamar Jackson.
Yep.
Boom, that's my MVP.
There you go. I love it. And yes, Steve Metrics may have no idea on MVP, but I am leaning towards Trevor Lawrence. I do love what you say about Christian McCaffrey. It is the reason why I chose to drop myself down to number 8 in our fantasy draft because I knew I had no shot at drafting Christian McCaffrey. So to me, like, I think McCaffrey takes a huge step up. I want to say, too, I heard some stat somewhere that McCaffrey accounted for like 70% of like all of the Carolina Panthers offense when he was a Panther this past season. So like his numbers are just insane. He is a weapon. He truly is like the best wild card factor or X factor. We'll figure out a name for this, but he is that weapon. Maybe that's what we go with for the San Francisco 49ers. So I like that, but I'm going to stick with Trevor Lawrence. And then I guess my other thing is if it isn't Trevor Lawrence, I'm going to look at another guy who missed some time or had things kind of not go the way that you thought it would go. Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts flat out missed a month of football last season. and still for us ranked as the most bona fide quarterback at his position last year. So I think Jalen Hurts, it's either going to be Jalen Hurts or Trevor Lawrence, which is ironically my Super Bowl matchup for this season. So those are my top two dark horse MVP candidates. And James thinks the Super Bowls gave you Green Bay versus Green Bay East.
Hey, I'm not against that.
There you go. There you go.
Boom.
Nice.
So we are coming up with a new segment here.
Uh-oh. A new segment.
Yeah. Oh,
what do we got?
We're bringing in new stuff.
I love it.
Call this 5 Up for Debate. We actually are gonna throw some stuff at each other here and figure out where we stand. So the first one we're gonna do is do not draft.
Yeah.
Who is on your like upper echelon do not draft?
Yeah, I think this goes back to our cheat sheet on draft day and what I said earlier. Honestly, this guy should have been drafted in round 3. I would probably feel more comfortable drafting him in round 5, to be honest. But it doesn't surprise me now that he's hurt. Cooper Kupp. Cooper Kupp did not belong in the first round of any fantasy draft. It's just his body's breaking down. So it's him.
What?
Yep.
All right. So I actually put down Cooper Kupp as my number 1 do not draft. I said injury easy, but I'm gonna go out of left field. Are you ready for this one?
Let's go for it.
This guy had a oh no. All right. So check out the fantasy depth tracker at nodebatesports.com. Cheap plug. It
updated tomorrow
because it's free. Plug. So he had a Bono value of 0.06, which is kind of crazy because he's average, right?
Yes.
He's going in the second round of drafts right now. The guy has a new quarterback and the Tigers is coming back from my do not draft list.
Are you really going to say don't draft Chris Olave?
I am. Don't draft Chris Olave. Boom.
Oh no! What happened? What did,
I'm going to put it on our page. Wait, hold on.
Okay. All right, man.
So
hey, I support it.
I have made a
that is a shot. That is
a list.
That's a Niger Morgan playing center field
and I'm
for
starting
the Milwaukee Brewers. That's wild, man. That is a shot.
Yep.
Gosh, I love that stuff. I forgot who it was, but man, I love it when guys shoot that arrow. Chris Olave. That is interesting. I mean, again, like there is going to be a factor, and this is why I'm going with Atlanta. There is a way that New Orleans will figure out how to lose games with Derek Carr playing quarterback. He gets this to the second half of games, and he just forgets how to play quarterback. So that could burn people. And you're going to have games where you think Chris Olave has a phenomenal matchup, going to score you 24 fantasy points, and he's going to score you 2, like a catch for like 2 yards. Like it's going to be weird like that. And you're going to get that with Chris Olave and Derek Carr. It's just the way it works. It's not Andy Dalton and it's not Jameis Winston. It's Derek Carr. And even if Jameis Winston comes in too, it's still going to be that wild factor.
And what happens if Michael Thomas takes some of those spots, some of those yards, some of those touchdowns?
Yes,
Juwan Johnson,
I did not consider that.
He's going to have a good year. So what if he takes some touchdowns in the red zone?
Yeah. Juwan Johnson becomes that guy. Like, look at Tampa Bay with how they operated with
It's
Tom
not
Brady.
as crazy as it sounds.
Absolutely. You're spot on. The Bono value speaks for itself, and that doesn't lie. And it is going to be representative to some aspect of these players. And we'll see if Chris Olave's Bono value actually increases this year. We'll see. It'll be fun. But I think you're spot on. I think Juwan Johnson is that new Darren Waller for Derek Carr, and Michael Thomas is the Devontae Adams. And then Olave is the Ruggs. So, like, we'll see how this plays out, but I think you're spot on that Chris Olave could actually end up losing touches because of the weapons surrounding him and just the wildness of Derek Carr. So that's pretty cool. That's no debate.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. Now we got how about who's your boomer bust?
Well, oh man, it really sucks because now we took the air out of the tires with what happened today. For me, it was absolutely going to be Travis Kelce, but I'll kind of play around with back with the Jacksonville Jaguars offense. I feel like there's two different options to go with here, but I'm going to go with the most iconic option of Calvin Ridley. So, yeah, everyone loves to talk up Calvin Ridley, but same thing like you pointed out with the Saints. There are just so many targets to go around there. I mean, we're even talking the second tight end whose name I don't even know behind Evan Ingram. Like, even that guy is going to get touches and take some touchdowns away from guys. You could easily go Travis Etienne here as well, but I'm going with Calvin Ridley because he is going to either be a weapon and he's going to take away all of the touches from Zay Jones and Christian Kirk, or he's going to be diluted like the rest of them. And then you're going to have plenty of days where him, Darren Waller, Christian Kirk, and Zay Jones, and maybe even Trevor Lawrence rushes in for a touchdown. And maybe they all kind of get neutralized. And the only one who really comes out of this is Trevor Lawrence. So I'm absolutely going with Calvin Ridley.
All right. So, okay. This one, I did a lot of thinking, as you can tell with that Chris Olave one. So, my boomer bust is Garrett Wilson.
Boy,
crazy, right?
That's true, man. No, it doesn't, because I know I'm more anti-Jet than you are, and you love him, but that schedule, point it out, Triggs.
So what I'm thinking is, so yes, A-Rod is an upgrade. We get that, but so is the wide receiver position. Now he's got Allen Lazard, Randall Cobb, McCole Hardman. The running back position has Breece Hall, Dalvin Cook. Do you think they just signed Dalvin Cook, who's an all-pro running back, to just come in and like get some carries here and there? He's going to be big in the passing game. So is Breece Hall. And then on top of that, Tyler Conklin, looking at yards, looking at touchdowns, he's probably going to steal some of those targets in the red zone, just like Juwan Johnson. Boom. Garrett Wilson's my boomer bust.
Exactly. I feel like we need a DJ Triggs, my tight ends I'm tight with shirt. And on one side, it needs to be Tyler Conklin, and it needs to be Juwan Johnson on the other. This has to happen. It needs to be Saints color scheme on one side, Jets color scheme on the other. That has to happen. Big time seller at nodebatesports.com. We got to get this shop going. We got to get this product, because man, I would buy that shirt with Juwan Johnson and Tyler Conklin. I love tight ends in fantasy football. Yeah, maybe I'm a guy who's got a thing for tight ends. I don't know. But Conklin and Juwan Johnson, I love that you're going for those guys. I think they're absolutely awesome. That's no debate.
I don't even know what to say now. So the next one, number 3 in our 5 up for debate. Number 3 is the Fantasy Phoenix, which I took this as a forgotten player rising up to be fantasy relevant. Does that make sense?
Yes.
I think so.
Absolutely. Yes.
You got anyone you think about there?
Yes. So I can kind of relate this to the NFL Comeback Player of the Year award winner is kind of along the train of thought I'm going with here. And for me, I'm gonna go with I think this is too probably a fantasy player that maybe had a not so hot season in years before and now comes back with the season. So as much as I like guys coming back from health like John Mechie and Justin Watson, for a guy coming back to fantasy relevancy, I'm gonna go with Pittsburgh. I'm gonna go with Najee Harris. I think he's the fantasy phoenix. I think he comes back to a true number one form and looking back at the draft, and I know I went with Jonathan Taylor, but I had this strategy in mind and I didn't go through with it. I think if I would have had maybe a couple of days to let it sit and marinate, I think I would have gone Najee Harris and then later in the draft do Jalen Warren. I think those running backs in the middle of the draft between Jalen Warren and Tank Bigsby, I think they're the guys. So I love what they got going in Pittsburgh, and I think Najee Harris absolutely comes back. Plus, he's a weapon. He can absolutely pass catch with the best of them. There's only like 9 of these running backs who can really pass catch. He's one of them. So got to keep your eye out for that.
Okay. All right. This one, again, I put way too much thought into this. So I'm actually going to pick a quarterback who's going in the 8th round right now. He would be ranked quarterback number 10 on our big boards.
Okay.
And I'm going with Tua from Miami. So
yes.
He's got 2 wide receivers that are going to light you up. We're all afraid of his injuries, but I mean, if he throws the ball to those 2 guys and they just take off and he plays the whole season, boom, he's probably a top 5 quarterback. And you can get him in the 8th round right now.
Exactly. I've seen that as a sneaky pick. We know in our league, Josh did that. I've seen that strategy from another person posting on social media. So I like that there. But yeah, like Tua Tagovailoa is great. Even if he goes down and it's Skylar Thompson, again, that's why I picked Miami. I love what you got going on there. He's got that guy that's kind of an NFL Comeback Player of the Year, but he also has a loaded offense. So they do that. Plus they bring in maybe a Jonathan Taylor or Kareem Hunt to pass catch out that backfield, do something to help out that run game. Man, I think the sky's the limit for Tua Tagovailoa, or it's Skylar Thompson.
All right. And then the next one, which makes me kind of laugh a little bit, is the brand new baller, which would be a rookie who's going to blow up on fantasy.
Yep. Brand new baller. I think, I mean, yes, I do like my guy, Jalen Hyatt. I do like Menzel Mims, but I'm going to go with the one that has been really, really hyped up. The fact that this guy plays for a very bad defensive football team. I'm going to go with Jahmyr Gibbs. I just think the options and the weapons that he has, and also he's going to have the ability that for a good amount of the start of the season, there's going to be some, not necessarily concern, but you really want to make sure that you have Amon-Ra St. Brown to make it through the season, and you're going to be getting back Jameson Williams. So I think all of that adds up to the fact that Jahmyr Gibbs is going to be doing a ton of workload and do a ton of things that are real crafty, kind of like Christian McCaffrey does, that he's just going to be that weapon position that teams are not really expecting. I mean, they know of him, but he's going to do weird stuff that you're not really ready for. So I like Jahmyr Gibbs. And he's not doing a triple option with Bijan Robinson.
That's true. Speaking of Bijan Robinson, so you would think that would be my guy, right? Not even close. We're going. Also comes from Texas. The second running back taken from Texas, Rashawn Johnson of the Chicago Bears. Remember, I put
your
him in
guy.
the playoffs. Yep. 6 foot, 225 pounds, and he ran a 4.5 840. He compared his first year in fantasy football, number 2 running back in fantasy behind David Johnson in 2016, 1,600 yards, 15 touchdowns. If Rashawn Johnson gets the time over Khalil Herbert, boom.
Oh yeah, I see that happening. I mean, really, I don't even think that's the guy I'm concerned about him leapfrogging. I just hope he leapfrogs Deontay Foreman, and I don't think Deontay Foreman's that great anymore. So if he leapfrogs Deontay Foreman, he absolutely leapfrogs
Now,
Khalil Herbert because Herbert is nice. He's shifty, but Herbert doesn't have breakaway speed. We saw that a few times last season where he cut through open holes on the A gaps. He got past the last defender, the guy who was probably playing cover 0. But the thing is, he got chased down, and he got chased down badly. So, like, for a guy who should be taking it to the house, he'd be getting tackled at like the 30-yard line, the 40-yard line. Like, he has shiftiness. He can spin on a dime with the best of them, but he can't break away. Roschon Johnson can absolutely break away. So I love that pick. As long as he supersedes Deontay Foreman, the sky's the limit for that guy. So it's a wild pick, but absolutely awesome. And I take it when it comes to your fantasy team, that's the way you built it, right? You have just Khalil Herbert and Roschon Johnson, no Deontay Foreman. Is that right? Or maybe I don't know. Maybe I have to check a roster. Maybe this guy's okay. All right. Maybe you're wild and you grabbed all 3 of them like I'm considering with all 3
that's
in
exactly
Dallas.
what happened.
Oh, okay. Oh, there you go. Well, maybe I should take a page out of your book and get the third remaining running back I need from Dallas. So there you go. Okay. Okay.
All right. Now, our biggest one, and last but not least, 5 up for debate, the most Bono player in fantasy.
Yes. This is like essentially the MBNVP. Like, that is a heck of an acronym. I absolutely love it. So with that, the most bona fide number player, it can't be a quarterback. We know they're good, but even Jalen Hurts is only going to get that value up to like maybe 3.5 if everything goes right. So it's not a quarterback. It's not going to be a tight end because Travis Kelce is not going to make it. And I don't have full faith in Darren Waller. And I don't have that faith in Mark Andrews as well. So I don't think it's going to be a tight end. I think it has a shot to be Christian McCaffrey. And I guess the thing is, like, is he going to blow it up? Are the other running backs going to get close? I think I'm going to mix it up. And instead of going with the wide receivers, I think I'm going to take a page out of your book. And with the fact that there's only like 9 guys who can do that weapon kind of style on offense, and Christian McCaffrey is not getting traded from one team to another, I'm going to go with him. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey. And like, he's the sole reason why I had to drop back in the draft. I would have loved to have been able to draft Christian McCaffrey, but I was too far back, even at 4. Like, that's wild. Like, I knew Christian McCaffrey could not drop to me at 4. So that's why it is what it is. But I think with that being as impressive as it is, it's going to be Christian McCaffrey. I think you absolutely spelled it out correctly.
I zoomed in for this one.
Nice.
Christian McCaffrey is going to be the Bono player.
Oh!
10 touchdowns.
What, rushing? Just alone there?
He had total. He had 8 rushing touchdowns. It just blows my mind. He had 6 rushing touchdowns and 4 receiving touchdowns with San Francisco in 10 games. Jeez. Total. The guy insane. Is just, he's massive. And
that is crazy.
And now think of it, because some of that came with Carolina. Basically, those first 6 games with Carolina, he only had 3 touchdowns, and he was wasted. So he had like 200 receiving yards. Now you think about those 6 games that he's going to add on with San Francisco.
Right.
San Francisco has Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle. You can't focus on Christian McCaffrey, and you can't load the box. You can load the box all you want, and Brock Purdy's going to just kick a screen pass to Deebo Samuel. He's going to hit it across the middle to George Kittle. So now you might have to defend those guys and put more defenders in the back, and Christian McCaffrey is going to light you up from behind. I'm going on Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, and plus, like, if they ever want to do something even more exotic, then you bring in Kyle Juszczyk, and Kyle Juszczyk could be a Christian McCaffrey, or he could block for Christian McCaffrey. So just those added elements, like, it's there. Christian McCaffrey can even throw a touchdown pass as well. Like, it's weird. Like, there's really wild stuff that guy can do that is incredibly unique. And over the last few seasons, too, you watch Christian McCaffrey play. He's not just a tailback that can catch a football. He can run with legitimate power. He will put his shoulder down and plow into guys and take them for a good 3 to 4 yards just by digging his shoulder into them. So I always love the toughness that Christian McCaffrey plays with. And I don't know whose team he's on for our fantasy league, but he was the number one guy I was eyeing for. I would have liked to have him over Justin Jefferson, definitely over Jamar Chase, and over Travis Kelce. So he was the guy I wanted, but I just knew I was not in a position that I could get him at 4. So, yeah. I love it. Boom. That's no debate. Yep. So, that's how we do it.
But it's our 5 up 4 debate segment.
Yes. Yeah, good stuff. So, I guess we got everything in for our show today. Good stuff. I like it. What do you got for your video game behind you, bud?
That's a good question. Let's see. Let's grab this one. It's in there deep. Oh my gosh. Oh, all right. Well, I guess it's about this time.
Okay.
Flip. Boom.
Nice. Got some hockey puck action there. There you go. Huh. Okay.
NHL 95.
Nice. Got an update from James now that we're going off script with some other sports. In baseball, looks like Altuve hit 3 home runs within the first 3 innings. That's wild. Wow. So that's no debate right there, guys, in baseball. So with that, my belt of the show, Iron Man. Gotta go Iron Man. So with my color scheme of today, plus there was some bad mouth talking about Chicago yesterday. So had to give a little shout out to the city south of us. So there you go. And for people in football, oh no, he left. He left. So sad. It's so sad. I have to do the show alone now for the last few minutes.
We don't talk about Chicago.
But, I know. But here's the good news is that the Packers-Bears game, which was originally scheduled for high noon on Sunday, got pushed back into the Fox primetime spotlight of the late afternoon game on Fox. So how about that? The majority of the nation is going to see Justin Fields take on Jordan Love. That's probably the game I was most excited for this upcoming weekend. So I love the fact that game is more in a primetime slot, and I might actually have a shot to watch that game live. So there you go.
lucky. I mean, for us normal people, 12 noon would have been better.
I know the normal people like that, but yeah, our night owls of the world definitely enjoy getting up in the afternoon and catching a really good football game. So pretty good stuff. But that's what we got for really good. Oh, hey there, Region Squad. Can I join the stream? Absolutely. We're about to wrap up here, but shout out to Notre Dame because I definitely drafted 2 tight ends in my fantasy league, in our fantasy league, from the school of Notre Dame, in Michael Meyer and Samuel, or actually, no, it's not Samuel Laporta. I think it was Brock Meyer, the other guy, but definitely like our Notre Dame guys. So yeah, good stuff. But that's our show. So with that, I'm Steve Metrics. That's your boy.
DJ TRIGGS.
And like TRIGGS laid out there, be sure to follow us, subscribe on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, X, Facebook, YouTube. Follow us on all these social platforms. You'll see us out there. We'll be posting a lot of content the rest of the week. There you go. And we are here every Monday and Tuesday at 7 o'clock Central Time. So really good stuff here, guys. Thanks again for watching. Be sure to subscribe. We'll see you next week. And that's No Debate.